for those who have never been to prison, right? Talk to us about the relationship between violence and respect in prison.
My thing about prison, if you don't get involved in dope, gambling, drag queens, you can roll through prison in Canada, and I've been in prisons from coast to the shiny coast, without a headache at all. As long as you just mind your P's and Q's, you can roll through this. So you avoid all that violence, is what you just mentioned. If you puff up, step out in a crew, the crew's headache becomes your headache. Violence then happens. I'll put one name. I don't know if I used his name in my book. I think I did, but there was a guy named Blair who was taking running shoes off of guys in the Don jail. And I told him, listen, man, if you go to the pen, this shit changes overnight there. You can't get the help that my gang will protect me. So he came to Millhaven. He was in Millhaven for 6 hours. He was dead 4. That's how fast the white guys got him. And that's what I tell the brothers. When you go to the pen, you can't be protected against the white boys you screwed around with. They can still nail you. They can still get you. You don't have that protection. So they'll say to 4 brothers that are a clique, you, get your stuff. You're being shipped out. Now there's only one brother and you got 6 or 7 white guys looking at you. That's what happens in our penitentiary. So our penitentiaries, the violence in our penitentiary is equal in terms of racism and criminality. Anyone can get stabbed in our prison system and anyone can go through it without a problem. It's just how you comport yourself, how you roll through that. For me, it was different because I came in with a gang, from a gang, my uncles and all that. So I came into trouble because they caused those troubles. Other guys around me who pulled themselves away from me and the clique of guys just breezed it out and got out at the first opportunity and never looked back. Other guys like me who wanted to be gangbangers and wanted to have that rep and wanted to have that respect would step out for nothing and pull a knife on you. Would you say to me, man? I said, hi. Yeah? Do I look like I want to be your friend? It's like, oh shit, here it goes. One of those things, right? So if you're not into that, you can just get by. Sometimes what you did on the street will impact you in there. It'll come to bite you, in other words. Then there's violence is going to be your only recourse, or checking in the PC. Check in the PC or initiate violence. Those are your choices. So guys with mediation skills, and they then can negotiate. And there's bikers that have beefs with each other on the street, end up in prison, as other crews, and their skills of negotiation just eases them out of those situations. With other guys with less skills will act out in violence. Violence begets violence. Sometimes it doesn't work out for you, right? So violence in prison is kind of weird. I'm from a gang. I was a gang leader when I went in. So violence was, anyways, one of the other gang guys that I had respect for, he said, don't do dope, because that's the easiest way to kill you off. And the rules I just said. But I already knew those rules from the books I read from the American prisoners. That keep in mind, Martin Luther King had written stuff about how to do time if you get arrested on his thing. And all the Black Panther guys wrote books on, Eldridge Cleaver mostly, on how to do time. Elijah Muhammad wrote books, Nation of Islam, on how to get along in your white man's prison. That was his book was called. So it taught you how to behave yourself to get along in these prisons, right? So all that indoctrination was also in us. So they had race riot. I mentioned they had a race riot in Collins Bay. They transferred me to Workworth, and then they transferred me back. And the guard told me, you're going to get killed. Well, that's the word up. You're going to get killed when you go back. And I'm like, that's got to happen. That's got to happen. Let's roll the roll. We'll see what happens when we get there, right? So unbeknownst to me, and it's in my book, that cop said, because you're going to get killed, this is going to be your last meal. So I'm going to stop at a restaurant and I'm going to buy you whatever you want. And I'm thinking they're taking me in the woods to kill me. I don't know why they think, because they KKK coppers in my mind, right? But he was for real. He stopped at this little restaurant in the middle of nowhere and he said, there's nowhere to run. I live around here. If you run, I'm going to chase you, hunt you down, and kill you because I've just lost my job. I ate my meal. I got to Collins Bay, got through the reception when you come in. They gave me a cell block, got to the cell block. I'm thinking, okay, people are going to kill me. You got to make your move soon because I'm going to have a knife any second now. And then my cousin come, what's going on, man? I need a knife. For what? The guard told me that I'm on a hit list. No friggin' hit list here, man. You don't need a knife. That was one of my cousins. It's all bullshit. And it was. And that was a smooth trajectory. I had no problems for me at that trajectory through it, right? So yeah, there's a lot of bullshit in prison, mostly if it's dope related or debt related. So-and-so owed me money, $5. First guy I ever seen killed was over $5. He owes me $5. I'm going to kill him. And I'm like, $5, man. We can cough that up in 30 seconds, right? It's not the money, it's the principle. I asked him 3 times to pay me, and he told me to screw off 3 times. I'm not giving, and the guy killed him for the $5, man. And that's the first one I saw close up in prison, $5. I understood what $5 meant. It's not the money, it's the principle. It's nothing to do with the money.
Mm-hmm.
And so guys would come, I'll pay the $5 for you. No, man, he called me a goof. He said this, he did that. It's the principle.
Why is
So
that?
you have to swallow your ego
Yeah.
to survive sometimes too. As you get through your sentence and you get older, that's easier to do. So I'll give you some old tough guys. I know a guy killed 5 guys in prison, and he got caught stealing something out of the canteen. The other guy suckered him and said, "You're a goof." And I said to myself, that guy's dead. He's already killed 5 guys. And then a couple days later, he was a friend of mine. So I said, "What's up, man? I'm on red alert because I know what happened to you." And he goes, "I'm going to let it go." And I'm like, I couldn't even fathom that he would say that. I'm going to let it go because I was wrong. And I'm like, this guy killed 5 guys in prison, 1 guy to get there. He's the youngest guy to kill someone in the Kingston riot. He's been out maybe 6 years now, and he's doing pretty good. That flipping of his switch said, "I'm going to let it go," changed his life and enabled him to get out. But had he said, this is just another one that bites the dust, he'd still be there. That kind of thing, right? So.
And I've heard you talk about the difference between the people who kind of hung close to you and the people who fell away over time, and the differences in the trajectory of their lives.
Okay,
right?
So what I said is, I was a gang leader that took 50 people to jail with me. Not that I ratted them out. We just got caught doing various things over time. Out of those 50 guys, they were tight, close to me. But there was 150 guys in our neighborhood we would hang with and play with. The other guys, as we started to turn 14, 15, and 16, started to say, "Listen, man, you guys are growing heavier and heavier. I don't want the action. My father can get me a job, trucking or something. I'm going to go do that. Or I just can go to this school, so I'm going to quit you guys and go to this school." And we're like, yeah. So all the ones that did that never went to jail. All the ones that stuck in, hating the man, down with fuck the pigs, down with this, screw the white man, all those guys end up going to jail because they stayed in. They stayed in that hate umbrella. It's a hate umbrella. Or crime is a hate umbrella. In order to stay in crime, you must hate. You can't be a lover and a criminal at the same time. You got to hate to be a good criminal. And hate keeps you going. I hate the world. Oh, you're my number 1 top dog. Glad to have you in our crew. I love the world, man. Well, listen, it's okay to love the world, but there's sometimes we got to do a little hate. No,
Yes.
man, I don't do hate. I only do love. Well, he's not staying around very, very long, right? So, although he's going to score the best chicks and he's going to get the best jobs. So this is what I say. All those guys that I dissed or backed away when we were teenagers, now they own businesses, or at least they're successful in the stuff they did. You come out of prison after 20 years, it's those same guys, because you know them, that you go to and ask jobs for. And they are the foremans of companies now. "Hey, man, can I get a job?" "Yeah, I heard you were away for almost 20 years, Rick." "Yeah. What are your skill levels?" "Well, I'm good with a gun, man. We don't use that here. I'm good with lockpicks. Don't need nothing to lockpick here." "What about construction? Have you did any construction while you're in jail?" "Well, me, no. I just was on the committee mostly." So you're a manager. Well, they know that you're a manager because that's what you were when they met you. It takes years to get into our management positions, and you got to start at the bottom like everybody else. And your ego says, "Frig you, not even my friends will help me. I just need someone with a gun." And back you go again. And then you'll finally meet a friend that says, "I got 2 guns. You want one? Let's go to work." And back you go again. So I'm envious of the guys that pulled away early and went into the directions they went and became successful that they did.
You still see some of them, encounter some of them today?
I still see some of them. So what I say, and in my book I mention it, the sooner you flip your switch, because that taught me a lesson. I did 33 years in prison because I wouldn't stop. I'm gangbanging all the way for 33 years. I'm not stopping. I'm an old gangbanger at the end of the day. And I'm dealing with 20-year-olds, young gangbangers, but I'm still not stopping. So what I say is the sooner you turn that switch, the sooner you flip that switch, the better off you are. Because one day we're all going to flip the switch.
Hmm.
No matter how tough, no matter how bad you are as a gangbanger, when you get older and you look at your grandchildren, gangbanging's not where it's at. So you want to flip that switch before it's too late, before you're back in a slammer or dead.
Yeah.
So I say the sooner you got the balls to do that, the better off you are. No matter what happens in your life, you're better off. Your worst day on the street is better than my best day in prison because you flipped your switch.
Hmm.
I could be in prison. Yeah, it's my birthday. Rah, rah, rah. Having a good time. Got a joint. Got a bottle of wine. No chicks. Got no chicks. But hey, it's still a good day. Meanwhile, in your worst day is, I just broke up with my girlfriend. I just got fired from my job. That's your worst day. My birthday ends. The next day, you find another chick and another job. I'm still in the same friggin' slammer place that I was before.
Hmm.
That's the difference.
Multiple times you've been kind of even spreading this message. I saw one time you came to Malvern,
Yeah, way
uh,
at that time. Yeah.
to the Taibu Health Center to kind of give this
Yeah.
kind of similar message.
That's right. And I believe in that message because all the guys I know, it took me almost 40 years to say to myself, I'm done, man. And I'm hanging up my guns. Enough is enough.
Hmm.
I'm done. And guys are like, we can do this. My chick works in a bank. There's $250,000 on Wednesday at such and such. I'm done, man. I'm done. Before I would have jumped on that.
Hmm.
So the sooner you flip your switch, the better off you are. It's as simple as that. No matter what you have to face, because it works this way. If let's say you elect to be a boxer, and I train boxers. So I'm going to press upon you that in 5 years you could be a heavyweight champ, if you're a heavyweight, and have these millions of dollars. And I was training this guy. I actually shot his father when I was 14. It's in my book. So he's really close to me because his mother died. He looks at me like his uncle. And he was one of the best fighters I trained. He said to me, he didn't show up in the gym. So I hunted for him when he was in the Parkdale. I go, what's up, man? How come you're not in the gym? He said, you're trying to press upon me that in 2 to 5 years I could be a heavyweight champ and make all this money. I go, yeah. He goes, on the streets, I could still be a champ and in 2 to 5 years have all that same money. It's like, here's the difference. In your endeavors to be a champ on the street, if you fail once, you're in jail or dead. In your endeavors to be the heavyweight champ of the world, if you fail, someone's going to give you a job because they know that you have that tenacity to succeed and you've tried. So a lot of fighters like go into selling cars and doing stuff like that. But at least you get that opportunity. The gangbanger doesn't get that. If you're not in jail and you're not dead, and you go to ask the guy to sell cars and you're a gangbanger, it's like, whoa, what do we got? What are you doing? What are you talking about? I don't do stolen cars. No, man, I want to work for you. Doing what? And you have to then prove yourself over time. The faster and sooner you do that, the more apt you are to be the manager of that company. And I say this way, and I say to kids, the skills you have on the street to do crime, those skills are needed in the business world to succeed and get along.
Mm-hmm.
Those skills that are the hustling skills that you've learned, when you go to legitimate business, those very skills will make you more money than the other guy because they don't have those skills.
Yeah. You remember what the judge said to you when he sentenced you? I think it was the first time.
I've been sentenced a lot of times.
I know, right?
Anyways,
there was a time when he
Judge
said,
Ulock,
Ulock.
So 3 judges sentenced. So Judge Ulock says, and he sentenced me to 25 years, 27 altogether. He said, with your business acumen, your leadership skills, and your work ethic, you could run any company in the world, including a 500 Fortune company. I'm going to sentence you to, I'm president sentence, 25 years. I'm going to sentence you to this time, and I hope you can get out from under it and do this. I did get out from under it. I did make a parole, and I went into this major conspiracy with Little Nut from Jamaica, took over St. Kitts. Major conspiracy.
Well, you can't just kind of gloss over that. What's that
Anyways,
about?
when I got out, I did get out from that 25-year sentence.
Yes, sir.
I could have turned my life around. I opened a boxing gym, and in the boxing gym, coming one of my old friends, Roy Gums, I could speak about it because we've been arrested. So he was the #1 contender in the world, heavyweight champ, won the British Commonwealth title, and said to me, we just took over an island, his island, St. Kitts. We run it. We run the police. We run the airport. We run everything. And we're moving tons of blow out through there, through this guy, Little Nut Charles Miller, Jamaica.
Okay.
And I said, not interested. A year later, he said again, little forces. The RCMP put a guy in jail. That guy, an RCMP in jail, he wiggled his way out with one of my friends, and we're all in the halfway house. And then the proposition came up, let's do a dope play. I got $1,000,000. You got the connections all over the world. I phoned Roy and said, listen, I'll play this game. And we're all arrested on that conspiracy.
Conspiracy to traffic.
Conspiracy to import into Canada 500 keys per month. Yeah, that was what it was. And
that would have been a life-changing amount of keys, no?
Yeah, and I got the most time anyone ever got for it. I got more time than anyone else in Canada for that amount of drugs. And in the middle of the conspiracy, I was reading my book, I thought something was wrong. So I phoned him and I said, I want to cancel the conspiracy. And he still brought 10 keys up, the undercover. That was what destroyed us all. So even though in my mind was, I don't want to play this game, I don't need to play this game, something doesn't feel right in the game, I'm abandoning the game. Okay, guys, I'm out. We're arrested the next day. Yeah.
Wow. You're still on parole?
I'm on parole until 2033. When my sentence finishes, if I'm alive, I will have 65 years in the system, on parole or in the joint. And I've been paroled a lot. And when I got sentenced last by Ormstrom, Judge Ormstrom, he brought that point up. He said that you have this innate ability to get out on parole whenever you want on these humongous sentences. I got sentenced to 25 years, and my first parole opportunity, I got out.
Oh.
I got sentenced to 50 years on the drug charge, and my first parole opportunity was 13 years later. I got out. I'm out still on that. I flipped my switch, so I worry less. But I'm still on parole, and parole's not easy, man. Parole is hard. So my parole officer told me when I first got out, we don't want you to be successful because it's harder for us to monitor you if you are. Well, no shit. But you've just said that you don't want me to be what? I can't even be a garbage man because a garbage man could be successful. He could own his own garbage truck. You know what I mean? So that suppression of your abilities because of their fear, you're going to organize black gangs. I tried to go to BC several times and they said, we don't want your type of organized criminal out there. And what they meant was we don't want black organized crime out in BC. And that's exactly what they meant. So when I got out there and I said to my uncle who was out there, who in my book was the leader of our family's criminal crew, what's going on? He says, man, the black thing's dead out here. They pushed all the people out of town. There are no black people in the downtown of Vancouver. They're all living out in the suburbs. We don't come together. We don't do anything now. You wouldn't be able to get anything happening out here. You're going to get pinched as soon as you try because you're not going to be able to pull in that color bar to help you. I need 20 guys or 30 guys to go against, we'll say, the bikers or somebody. We're not going to get it. We're not going to get 30 guys out there that they're going to stand out. You're going to be finished within seconds, right?
Yes.
So that's the difference. You can do that here. So when I got out on parole there, they said, we don't want you to go back to Toronto because you have the capabilities of doing that. Between Montreal, Ottawa, Sudbury, and Toronto, Windsor, Ontario, you have all this happening and you could put another black gang together again. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not interested because I flipped my switch, right?
Yes, yes.
But had I not, the young talent I see out here and the shit they're doing that makes no sense to me sometimes, I can pull that stuff together. I can give you a better out. I know what I'm doing. I've been doing it a long time. It's like I see the talent out there in terms from a criminal promoter's perspective.
I mean, even today?
Even today. There is talent out there. Talent in the criminal world. If someone could harness that talent, they would make a lot of money. Hard to do when you're black because as soon as you attempt to harness that kind of talent, you stick out.
Yeah.
You become the Malcolm X in their mind and off you go.
Yeah. Because I remember you saying that you always kind of looked at yourself like operating a staffing agency for
that's
criminals.
What I did. The parole board says, what was your job in this criminal thing you did? And I go, I think primarily what I did, I was a staffing agent for multiracial criminals in the downtown core of Toronto. So I don't know you that well, but if you had a skill and you come to me and said, I have a skill, we'll say truck driving. There's a truck, the keys will be in it, 10 o'clock Friday night at such and such a place, take that truck, drive it to such and such a place, leave the keys in it, I'll give you $5,000. Is that it? Yeah, you're working for me now. Because that's too easy for you to just drive a truck a few blocks and just park it. I get $5,000 for it.
Yes.
So yeah, so there is talent out here, but it's different kinds of talent now. The kids were raised without principles. They didn't have fathers in their lives like we did. And because they didn't have that, the rules are a little different than them. We would never hurt a woman Although if a woman shot at us, it's a different story. Gangbanging is gangbanging. But don't have, like, no women have ever been involved in my criminality.
Hmm.
We just didn't do that. We just separated our family life from our criminal life. So
That's
I didn't,
interesting.
yeah, so I didn't have to worry about my woman knowing my stuff or being involved in my stuff. Therefore, you didn't have to worry about her either
Hmm.
as the other criminal, because you knew that that's how we played the game. That was our rules. Yeah. Yeah. So it
Hmm.
was, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But you said not to interrupt too much, but what you said about the parole and always getting the parole, I think it's the charisma. When you kind of go to the parole board and you have charisma, you know what you want to do when you get out on the road. I feel like
No, it's more than that, brother. It's a game.
more.
And you always hear them say, play the game. There's a pro game that gets played. We used to do pro strategy sessions inside. So if I
Hmm.
didn't, I'd say to you, would come to me and say, listen, man, I'm going up for parole in 3 months. Someone said to come and talk to you. You could help me out. I'm like, eh. If I like you, I'm like, okay, I'll help you out. Let's do this. So we go into a pro strategy session. And we got these minds that are fighting the government. We're putting our minds together to help you get out. You need this, do that, get this done, do that, call so and so, get this, get that, line up all your ducks. It's a game you're playing, man. And your charismas in the board is explaining the game, being part of the game. So they understand that you're playing a game. They don't 100% trust you. They don't believe that you're not going to do something. They believe that you're playing the game. And you'll hear them say, play the game, play the game. You can get out if you play the game. And that's what it's about. And they'll even say it to you, because what they have to do is they have to justify your releases, every one of them. And as long as you play the game, their justification makes sense. Therefore, they're not going to get in
Hmm.
trouble. So the board who doesn't know you sees their reports. We don't really trust you, but we have to trust someone, so we'll trust these reports. And every report says he plays the game well. He plays the game. So then they say to you, these are the rules. It's the game. Are you going to abide by them? And you go, I'm going to play the game well. And they'll set you out.
Hmm.
In my case, that happened to me 12 times. And 12 times I reoffended because I was playing the game at a different level. I was able to play the game, but I had in the back of my mind, screw you. You're colonialist, you're this, you're that, you're racist, you're all this. You're not there to help me, you're only there to hurt me. Our family's the most incarcerated family in Canada. Why? It's because of you. And a warden said to me in my book, you'd read that, and the warden was Gobey. He was the warden of Millhaven. He said, with your family alone, my family's guaranteed 100 years work in corrections. So I
Hmm.
went off and got mad at him, and he come back the next day and he apologized. He said, I shouldn't have said that, because you're right. We never know what's going to happen in the future of our families. His son got arrested, I don't know, 10 years ago or something like that. He's working as a cop in Kingston, and he got arrested. And that was my point. My son didn't. So he was wrong. Yeah, exactly. You just never know. And in my case, one of my co-accused, Andy Ferguson, who was involved in all the bank robberies, his father was a warden, and his uncle was the chief of organized crime for the OPP, Archie Ferguson.
Hmm.
And yet he was working with us, white dude. And he he looked like a cop to everybody. So he rolled in such a way he can get through doors we couldn't get through, that kind of stuff. And yet he's the son of a warden and the nephew of the top cop in Ontario, the chief of the OPP. So that's just going to say you don't know who's with you or who's going to do stuff with you. It's not the brother from a crackhead mother that's going to come rise up in the crime. It may not be that. It might be the guy whose father and mother are doctors or lawyers, black doctors, lawyers, and this guy just spins out, and who knows what he does, right?
Hmm. So it almost sounds like by the time someone gets the parole, you've already been planning the story and kind of putting it together and putting the pieces together for a long time. So by the time you do get to present, you're helping them. It's almost like they're saying, help me justify why this should happen. Help me justify
Good.
why you should be out.
Exactly. They actually say that in every
Yeah.
hearing. They'll actually say, why should we release you?
Hmm.
Yeah, what have you done? What have you done with your life that would make us comfortable enough that we will let you out the door? And you have to then come up with a scenario of help that you have in the community. In our day, it was Bev Folks from BIFA, used to help a lot of people. She had an organization called BIFA. I started it in 74.
Mm-hmm.
And she used to help a lot of people come out because she was like a mother goose. At least there was some place to go where someone would try to help you. So they say, find a halfway house that will accept you. I wrote everyone in Canada, and 100% shot me down. So I went up to the board and they said, you tried? I said, I've tried every house. They said, yeah, we know. So they said, we're going to send you to a house where they can't shoot you down. It's called a CCC house. Kiel is that. And they have one in Hamilton. And they have one in Ottawa. So they have 3 CC and one in Windsor. So 3 CC houses in Canada where they run, it's a federal institution. That's where they can send you to. And the cops can't say no. Politicians can't say no, that kind of stuff, right? So that's what happened to me on my last trip out.
Okay. I want to kind of transition out of the prison part because I know you have a lot more to talk about, but I would like to hear about BIFA. Was that the same time as the TV show that you were doing?
No, it was 20 years before the TV
20
show.
years before the TV show. Okay.
BIFA started with, kill all the N-words, kill them all, in Collins Bay. There was maybe 12 of us there and 460 white guys. So it's a race riot is going to sue. So tension was starting. Everybody's armed up. Everybody's tense. The guards are tense. All the guys are tense. I put in my book, a white guy I grew up with. Hey, Rick, I can't hang with you no more. I can't talk to you. I go, why not? It's because the white guys will kill me if I'm hanging with any black guys. I'm going to see your stupid ass later. And he was from our neighborhood. So I said, take a hike. And I'm not going to forget. When I get back to the neighborhood, I'll remember that happened. So the neighborhood might not want you when I get back out, right? Kind of thing. So that was the tension in the air. So I'd come to my cell, there'd be a note on my bed. I put that in my book. N-word, if you start this N group, you'll be a dead N-word. That's on my bed in prison, and you don't know who put it there. So I'm thinking in my mind, the guy that put it there can't be that serious, or he wouldn't have put it there. He'd just be sharpening up his shit. So the warden called me up and said, we don't know about the BIFA group thing. We don't know if we can do it. And I argued for it, and he mentioned the notes. He says, there's all kind of kites say you're dead. And I said, if the guys that wrote those kites were serious about killing me, they wouldn't have wrote the kites. And he agreed. He said, yeah, there are guys that write kites like they're just a bunch of pussies, We'll let the BIFA group happen. And they let the BIFA group happen. And why it worked, because we set it up as black inmates and friends, because I had some white friends in the institution then. And they, hey, can I get involved in that thing you're starting? Yeah. Is it only for black guys? No, it's for whatever friends we want. How the friend system works is if you weren't black and you wanted to bring a friend in, we all had to vote. It had to be a unanimous decision to pull that guy into the group at the time. That offset racial tension in the institution because now people could smell food. And our first BIFA social was the Black Student Union from Queen's University came over. We're in jail. Chicks, students, miniskirts, smelling fine. Food cooked by them. They brought food in from Trinidad, Jamaica, wherever they were from. With all this food, it was like, holy shit. We're dancing, listening to James Brown. We're dancing. That was our first BIFA social night. That swam around so then the food was extra food. Can we bring the food back to the cells? Go ahead. We brought the food back to the cells, and white guys are eating curry goat cooked by a Jamaican girl that just grew up in Jamaica. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, we never tasted it. And that brought the racial tension down in that institution considerably. So it isolated the real racists. The real racists are now just a few with a little voice.
Yes.
And that was the difference. And to this day, the real racists are a few with a little voice because the black population is bigger. You can put them in check. So it's still the same. There's racism, though, in every culture. It's how you impact the range. So in the Don Jail, they had the jungle range. The jungle range is a racist ideology. It's how administration controls a prison population by racial division. So one time they threatened me. They said, either, when I was coming through from court, and one guard goes, you got an attitude. He doesn't know me, the guard, so he's shooting his mouth up. I'll put you on the jungle range. I said, what, do you want me to kill someone up there? Because I will kill someone up there. And he goes, what? And everyone got quiet. All my co-accused, all the other guards, they just got quiet. Because this guy was trying to use racism to control me. And I just flipped it around on him. You want to use racism to control me? Then I'll go up there and take someone out. How would you like that? And it was like, he never heard that stuff before. He thought I'd be scared and weak. But the guys on the range are my relatives. He doesn't know that. So he's trying to use my own relatives against me. in order to control me.
Mm.
I just flipped it around on them. That's what you get in jail in those things. So it's easier to run a jail, and that's how American systems are run. It's easier to run a jail based on racial division than it is on racial harmony, where everybody's happy and everybody's happy. If everybody's happy in the jail, the warden can't be happy because he can't control his jail. And he doesn't know amongst this happiness who's going to escape, who's going to do this, because it's all a facade. You're not supposed to be happy in prison.
Yeah.
So it's all a facade. So whoever created this facade, we got to break it up. These guys got to hate each other. They got to be at each other's throats. They got to even kill each other so we can do our job. And they'll instigate violence to do that. However, here's the thing. We're talking about Canadian prison system. I got 50 years experience in it. It's not a bad system in comparative systems around the world. And the reason I'm saying that, because Roddy Kane, my co-accused, was the second guy in Canadian history to get his murder charge reduced by the justice minister, and he's black. So you have to think of that. 1 million applications. 2 guys make it in the history of our country. One's white, one's black. That's Roddy Kane. I'm in Collins Bay, and this guy's real agitated, intellectual, black guy. Not many guys to talk to, and he's really standoffish. But his defense is the sleepwalking defense.
Oh.
The first one in history. He drove from Toronto to Oshawa, killed his mother-in-law and his wife. Drove back to Toronto, woke up. A black guy with an all-white jury from Oshawa, because that's where the murder happened, gets acquitted of the murder on the sleepwalking defense. If we were that racist a country, that would have never happened. So at the higher levels of our country's legalities or jurisprudence or our justice system, it's not racist. Or Roddy would have never got out, or that guy would have never got out. At the smaller levels and the provincial bucket levels, yes, it is. Like different jails you went to, like the Lindsay bucket when I went there. Highly racist, but only 5 guys in the jail. And I went there with my uncle, and we're all boxers, so we can chill that out real quick. Right? We can even chill out the racist guards because we're tougher than them, and there's not enough of them. They're going to have to phone for help, you know, that kind of stuff. But in a little bigger country jails, we call them country jails, the ones that are in small communities, yes, that happens. So now they built these big mega jails to offset that little country attitude, and it turned worse. The mega jails become worse than the country jails because the guards now played everybody against everybody. Can't go to this range. You can't go to, where are you from? Jane and Finch, well, you can't go there. Where are you from? Alexander, well, you can't go there. When my experiences with jail, it didn't matter where you were from. You all ended up in the same jail. You had to work your differences out. So bikers beefing with each other ended up in the same jail. You just have to deal with it. The mob guys work beefing with each other, ended up in the same jail. We have one supermax, it's called Millhaven, and we're all there. You have to put away your differences in order to survive and play the game. If you don't put away your differences to survive and play the game, you stay in longer. That's it. So that's racism in Canadian prison. So I say there's a lot of racism in Canadian prison because there's a lot of Canadians working in Canadian prisons. If you have a lot of Canadians in Canadian prisons, some of them have to be racist because this is the nature of our country, without a doubt. They're in there. So is there racism so impacting that it could change an entire institution's flow or trajectories? No, they don't have that power because there's enough non-racist people that will put them in check, and a grievance system and a federal court system that will put them in check. Example, I was in BC. They wouldn't give us black hair care products. We fought them. The race relations minister flew out to talk to us, and within a few days we had those products.
Yeah.
So we were in BC, and we were able to pull someone from Ottawa out to listen to our racial complaint. The warden threatened me, better watch what you say, Atkinson, there, because this is a real sensitive area. I said, listen, I'm not going to call you a racist. I'm not going to do that, but I'm going to call your institution racially orientated. We have to change that. That's what it was. He wasn't a racist, but the umbrella of the institution was. That's why they denied us the black skin care product. And by calling Ottawa, we got them. So I would say now, because we called Ottawa and we pulled in the race relation minister, racial tension, we'll say, in BC prisons just went right down because all the brothers knew they can get help now. They knew help was available. If you played the game and you filled out the proper paperwork and you said the right things, help was available.
And it's funny how something as inconsequential as black hair care products was a big deal.
No, what the nurse said is there's not enough of you people here for us to spend the money on those products. When I wrote the relations minister, I said, how many black people must die before you realize that they're as important as everybody else out here?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what brought them out.
Switching gears, tell me about boxing. You box?
I was a Canadian heavyweight champ.
Okay.
I've been boxing my entire life. I come from the biggest boxing family in Canada.
Okay.
Olympic medal winners from Nova Scotia, Kirk Johnson, Sugar Ray Downey, Dave Downey, middleweight champ, Clyde Gray from here. Right, these Nova Scotian boxers. My father boxed in the army. Boxers around me my whole life. It's just boxing becomes a way of life because boxing is a sport of don't drink, don't have sex with your woman, don't stay out at night, don't do stupid stuff, watch what you eat, you can't eat this, this. It's a business of don't. And if you can discipline yourself to all those don'ts, you're become more successful than the other guys. Keep in mind, you need a skill level to get you there, so you need a good trainer. And then you need the will to suffer to win. So a boxer's job is not to punch the other guy out. A boxer's job is to accept his punches until he can't throw them no more, and then punch him out. So how do I win this fight, coach? Let him punch himself out by punching you out. And when he can't punch you out no more, then we go into plan 2 and we win. That's the essence of the sport. The more pain you could take, the greater your chances of winning. It's like a football player, frontline guy. Pain, 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 but he's in a winning team. He sucks it up and he just keeps going. That's the nature of fighting. Not what you give that makes you a champ, it's what you take that makes you a champ. And a good example of that is Muhammad Ali and Fraser 3. On the 14th round, Fraser couldn't come out. Ali won. But Ali said after, had Fraser stood up, he would have quit because he was finished. So the one who took the most pain, i.e. Ali, won.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's it. So anyways, what boxing was through history is it enables poor people to rise up and shake hands with rich people. So you could be in Canada right now, the Canadian heavyweight champ. If you're the British Commonwealth champ, you will shake the hand of the King of England because you're a British champ. You can't do that in any other sport. If you're a basketball player and you're a gangbanger, you're not on the team. Football, you're not on a team because they have this moral contract that's absent in boxing. Doesn't have a moral contract. That's why Tyson could say, I'm going to kill your kids and eat their liver and still go on to be famous. They don't have a moral contract. And boxing is as old as time. There's Archie Midas, 242 BC. There's a statue of him in the Rome Museum looking like a boxer that he is. So he's been there for 2,500 years, you know. So that's how old boxing is. And even in the gladiatorial arenas of Rome, boxers were the most famous of the gladiatorial fighters, more famous than the sword fighters. And a boxer can rise up to sit next to the king. When in everything else, it's harder to do that. That's the history of fighting because you're willing to put it all on the line to entertain other people. However, if you have boxing skills and you wish to be a boxer, I always try to talk you out of it first.
Oh.
Yeah, 100%. I try hard to talk you out of taking that road because it's the hardest thing you're ever going to do. And you could be wasting my time if you're not serious. 2 years into this, you just can't take the shit anymore and you quit. And it's 2 years I invested in it. So I say, if you've got anything to do with sports in you, then show me the money and become a manager or a promoter if you really want in the game. It takes experience to be a coach, so you have to do boxing to be a coach. But I say to guys, do you really want to be? I want to be a fighter more than anything in the world. I said, then stick your finger in a light socket, get your hair to go up like Don King's, and be a promoter. You'll make more money and be happier than taking the punches in your face, right?
Maybe more healthy too in the long run.
And at the end of the day, you're far more healthier. And some go, no. And I got a cousin now fighting out west. And he just won the out west title. 20 years he was in jail. He committed a murder as a teenager. He was charged, he was sentenced as an adult. He did 20 years. He was the Canadian champ, amateur champ when he went to prison. He got out. The prison parole people, there's no way you could fight. It's violence, it's this. He's just pushed against it. He fought and he won the Canadian Amateur Championship after 20 years. Then he turned pro, lost his first 3 pro fights, and we're all like, oh, this ain't working out too well for him. And then he won his next 4 pro fights, and now he's in line to take the title. He'll be the first guy in Canadian history to ever do that, if he does it. So for him, even if I told him not to go into this, he didn't listen, he won't listen, but it turned out for him. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
That is rare. So out of 10,000 people, 900,000 or 9,500 are going to fail. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Small percentage will succeed. He's a rarity in Canadian history for having the tenacity to stay in shape, stay healthy, and to focus on the same dream he had before he got arrested. That's rare, to keep that in your mind all those years. When I get out, I'm going to be a fighter. When I get out, I'm going to be a fighter. I'm going to train. I'm going to stay in shape. I'm going to be a fighter. I'm going to be a fighter. Pro board? No, you're not. Your friends, your relatives? No, you're not. Everybody around you? No, you're not. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. And then he does it. That's rare, right? Yeah.
So if I want to learn boxing, what should I know? Like as a person who has never boxed.
Okay, there's 2 components to boxing. There's one, boxing for money or fame or glory, and the other is boxing for self-defense and exercise. If you're boxing for self-defense or exercise, all you need to know is that there's discipline in going to the gym, and in the gym there's discipline. So you have to embrace that discipline. If you're fighting for money, it's 10 times that insanity. It's more that it's not fun. You know, all the buyers, we even today when I spar with guys, it's fun. But it's not fun. I'm punching you in the face and you're punching me in the face. And after we finish punching each other in the face, we thank each other for punching each other in the face and say, we had a lot of fun. Can we do it again tomorrow? Right? That's the essence of fighter. So you got to be a little bit of a psychopath to be a real good fighter. You got to want to hurt the guy that you like. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to destroy you. But after the fight, we'll go out and have a good meal. You're going to bring your wife and your mother and all that because I really like them. It's an insane sport to do that. And people are always profiting off you, the players, the pimps.
Yes.
Players and the pimps are always profiting off everything you do. So, and that gets to you at the end of the day. So at the end of the day, when you talk to the fighters, that's their biggest regret, is allowing the players and the pimps to take from them. Mike Tyson lost $300 million to Don King when he was in jail. So just taking, and everybody's taking. And Ali said the same thing. People just take and they just take and they just take. That's the nature of entertainment business.
Yes.
No matter if you're a fighter or you're a singer, dancer, artist, doesn't matter what you are. Yeah.
So for the people who are watching and they're thinking, well, I can't fight.
Then you do boxercise. And here's the thing about boxercise, why it's so good.
Okay. Because
it teaches you self-defense, discipline, and balance. But in the rest of your life, that applies to you. I rarely trip over stuff because of my feet are light, touching the ground. So even if you stick your foot out, I'll stumble, but very rarely will I fall to the ground.
Yes.
It teaches you hand-eye coordination. A cup falls out of the cupboard, I got it. And everyone's, holy shit. Reflexes are really good still.
Yeah.
For me, and I'm like almost 70 years old. So reflexes are still good. That's what it brings to the table. I never took a lot of punishment, so my brain is functioning fairly well to guys that took a lot of punishment and can't because their reflexes aren't there to catch that cup. So there's a downside to boxing competitively. There's no downside to boxing for fun and exercise.
Yeah.
And you learn self-defense, you learn a skill. For women, it's good because women's upper bodies are weaker than their lower bodies, so they're more into kickboxing and Muay Thai. We teach them, I said, if you're in an elevator, the chance of you using your feet amongst 4 people in the elevator, one guy grabs your ass and you want to do something, there's 2 other people there, it's hard to use your feet. Boxing is the way to go. It's historically the way to go. We box as little kids. We slap each other as little kids before we do anything else, right? That kind of stuff. So it's ingrained in us to do that. It's nice to know it. Anyways, in Bath Institution, the Queen's volleyball team used to come in and use our gym to do volleyball.
Okay.
And one day I was the women's team. And one day I was hitting the heavy bag and a girl walked up to me and she said, can you teach me some of the stuff you know? So I did. I was out on a pass on the street going to the cable station and she stopped me in a car. Rick, I got to talk to you. I got to talk to you. I go, what's up? She goes, I was in a bar the other night. A guy grabbed my ass. I turn around, I jab, jab, right, hook right. Just like you said, just like you said. And I knocked the guy out. Now, no one in the bar bothers me again. I said, no shit. Who's going to bother you? You hit a guy with 4 punches and knock him out. Nobody's going to bother you again.
Mm-hmm. What was that combo? Jab, jab, right hook, right?
Jab, jab, right, jab to get in. Bang, bang. Now you're in his face. Right hand, boom. That sets him up. Boom, the sneaky hook. Boom, the right finishes him off. Are you okay, guy?
So boxing is both to you it almost sounds like it's both a sport and kind of like a philosophy of life.
It's
almost.
not only that, it's a dance.
Mm.
In that philosophy, there's a dance you do in boxing. So the philosophy is incorporating the dance of fighting.
Mm.
There's a dance that goes on, the same dance that the tennis player does. The top tennis players in the world move like fighters. They dance because they have to move laterally. They dance forward, they dance back.
Mm.
That's the fun of boxing, is that dance, just like the fun of tennis. This can't be the point. It has to be the dance to get the point.
Yeah.
It's the fun and what the crowd goes crazy about, right? So it's the same. So if you learn that dance, it's a pretty good dance to know.
Like that foot movement.
The foot movement, the dance of how you move your feet as a boxer, how you move your body as a boxer. It transitions to any other physical movement that you do, no matter what it is.
And is that what you mean when you say boxercise? Is that what you meant, like
Exactly.
practicing those movements?
Yeah, it's just practicing those movements so you can fight. So listen, I'm teaching you 1-2, 1-2 combination. But if your life is on the line and you have pencils in your hands or pens in your hands, 1-2, 1-2 can keep you alive.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference, right?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Wow.